Okay, good evening. This is Debbie Davis. It is January 29th, 2024. So I have wanted to touch base here. We have obviously a lot of things going on at the border and other things. And I don't, for those of people who have been watching my videos, last year, I was exposing Homeland Security, how they weren't doing their job, and I'll include the link on that video if you haven't seen that. But I was exposing the fact that there's 250,000 employees of Homeland Security, and this agency started right after 9/11 in 2001, and they don't seem to be doing anything for years now, securing our border. They leave it up to Border Patrol. I mean, there's 250,000 Homeland Security agents that are getting a very good paycheck. I mean, I have a family member that works for Homeland Security, and she makes like $75,000 a year. I mean, for doing what exactly? Okay, so I've been exposing them for trying to expose Homeland Security for a while in my videos. And so now, today, they're trying to impeach Mayorkas, which he should be because he's not doing anything. And, trying to secure the border because obviously Homeland Security is not doing their job. So, but I wanted to touch on a couple other things. So I have been talking about many issues that I've had with the courts, and I wanted to share something that I'm not sure if you many issues with the police and the courts. Okay, and so I wanted to share something with you to just so you know.
Died from December 10, 1951.
So you know.
Until I retired, March the 30th.
Okay, so you know that okay. So what I'm going to play is this is Ted Gunderson, who was the director of the FBI from 1959 to 1971 or 72 or something like that. He was the head of the FBI, basically before it got corrupted, but then he started seeing a lot of the corruption. So he basically says, and was trying to warn people that, look, our law enforcement and the FBI is becoming completely infiltrated by these satanic cults. Okay? And so, if people don't believe that I've had as many problems as I've had with the police, then, this just kind of confirms some of the things that I have been talking about. And also with President Trump, how the FBI, when they harassed him at Mar-a-Lago, and they also harassed, other people, the my pillow guy. The FBI has been corrupted for years. Just listen to this guy. So I'm going to play this clip, and so you can hear. If you haven't heard of this guy before, his name is Special Agent Ted Gunderson, and unfortunately he has passed away. I believe he was murdered, shortly after exposing this. So, but
1979.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna.
Chairman, I was in charge.
Okay, I'm gonna start it over here.
Most of Southern California had over 7.
Okay, let's see if I can.
700 personnel under my command. Budget of $22.5 million. I had 16 offices that I was responsible for. I had a fantastic career. In the old days, the FBI was a great organization. Unfortunately, as I said a few moments ago, it's been infiltrated by the satanic cult, Illuminati movement, as well as other agencies like the NSA and the CIA and so forth. And I'll go more into detail on that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist. There is a conspiracy. And I will prove it to you, and I'll document it best I can in the next hour or so. But go back to Pearl Harbor. Actually, go back further than that. Go back to Pearl Harbor. We knew about Pearl Harbor December the 4th. We were attacked December the 7th. We could have pulled our fleet out of Pearl Harbor. We didn't. I've talked to the naval intelligence officer who intercepted or received that message that the Japanese coded and broken. He passed it up to his superiors. Nothing occurred. After the war, he was subpoenaed by Congress. His superior in the Navy said, don't worry about it. Don't go to the hearing. He didn't. Never heard anything more about it. Jack Kennedy assassination. It's well documented. He was murdered by the mob in Chicago, Sam Giancana's group, and also by the CIA. Jack was going to revamp the CIA. He made his personal goals and aims public within his circles, of course, and he was going to make some major changes. Also, he had withheld and aborted the invasion of Cuba, which upset some individuals. I recently learned that a fellow named I.D. Hale, who was an All-American football player, Texas Christian, was ordered and was involved, he was an FBI agent at the time, in changing the parade route of the Jack Kennedy group that day. I have information that the night before the Kennedy assassination, there was a secret meeting at the Clinton Murchison home, Murchison being an oil man. Those in that meeting included Lyndon Baines Johnson, and I'm sorry to say, and I regret that I know this is true because I've personally documented, I've talked to people who know that this is true. J. Edgar Hoover was there. I was shocked when I learned this, and I only learned this within the last year. And the reason I know is because I talked to the maid that worked in the Murchison home that night. And when Lyndon Johnson came out of that meeting, he said to his girlfriend, Margaret Brown, who wrote a book about this, and I used to have a radio talk show in 97, 98, and I had her on my radio talk show. She said that Johnson told her, after tomorrow, we don't have to worry about that SOB Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy, shot in the kitchen, the Ambassador Hotel, Los Angeles. 5 bullet shots at him. There were 11 shots fired. There were shot supposedly by Saran, and I'm sure he was. Saran was part of it. But Saran's gun would only hold 8 bullets. There were extra bullets in the wall and in the hall and in the door. Covered up. Ruby Ridge, we all know about. We had Waco. It's kind of interesting because we know Posse Comitatus is against the law for the federal government to use military against civilian personnel, violation of the law. Yet they brought military personnel in. And it's kind of interesting because I know those of you who have looked at the the Waco case, realize that there were 4 BATF agents who were killed in Waco. All 4 of those agents, in my research, took headshots. How many military men do we have out there? Raise your hand. What does that indicate to you? Sniper, right? They were shot by snipers. 4 headshots to 4 BATF agents. One of the headshots went from above down in through his lips and down into his body from above. There was a helicopter there by the government. Further research established that those 4 BATF agents at one time were bodyguards for Bill Clinton. Larry, Oklahoma City again, I'm going to go back to Oklahoma City. Terry Nichols, most recently, again, the co-conspirator in the Oklahoma City case, recently submitted, in fact, January 19th, submitted a document, an affidavit in the courts in Salt Lake City that Larry Watts, number 2 man of the FBI, actually orchestrated Oklahoma City. You don't see this in the mainstream media, do you? The 1993 World Trade Center bombing of February 26, 1993. There's an article in the New York Times. I have a copy of this article. It's October 23, 1993, New York Times. And it states that the FBI had been formed in among the terrorists, Salam, and he was commissioned by the terrorists to put the bomb together. He went to his FBI handler, supervisor, told him he was the one to put the bomb together. He'd been commissioned by the terrorists. We're going to use a dummy bomb, aren't we? His FBI handler said, no, we're going to use a real bomb. The FBI not only knew in advance that they were going to bomb the World Trade Center, car bomb the World Trade Center. The FBI furnished the ingredients for the bomb. Is it the New York Times? LA Times. Now, what I don't understand is, do not the senators and the congressmen of the United States read those 2 newspapers? Right? Somebody should have looked into that and conducted an honest investigation. But after all, we had 911. Do you think there was an honest investigation there? Absolutely not. Based on 28 years experience and research, I have determined there are thousands of victims who have been targeted by an illegal U.S. government rogue criminal enterprise that is active 24 throughout the United States. A network of victims who work with me have reached the same conclusion based on one, their personal experience. These are the people who have come to me. Two, the significant number of victims, thousands of them. And three, the extent and intensity of the harassment. I'm talking about microbeams, I'm talking about surveillances, I'm talking about poison gas.
This is
everything that evil
I've had surveillance and I've had microbeams on me and part of the targeted program.
Private enterprise goals are to achieve financial gain. These operations require extensive financing to operate with no return on the investment. I believe that these programs are financed through illegal black operations, i.e. drugs, prostitution, gambling, kidnapped children, or auctioned off as sex slaves, used as human sacrifices and body parts. I have documentation of every one of those. Absolute proof in my reports. By the way, this is a report. Speaking of my reports, this is a book that I put together that lists, and it's also on my website, tedgunderson.com, lists my research. What I'm telling you today is written up in reports and documented. I believe this well-organized, sophisticated operation has a central command located somewhere in the United States with multiple satellite offices scattered throughout the country. This criminal enterprise by this rogue element targets an individual. It is necessary to, in order to target them, they want to identify the individual, two, outline the reason the victim is targeted, and three, document and identify the weapons and tactics being directed against him or her.
Did you catch all that? And to think that a former head of FBI would be lying would be crazy, honestly. See, that's the ultimate form of what you call government, because government means to control your mind control. And literally, they're pointing the finger at you, saying that you're the problem. Meanwhile, they are the ones that are committing all the egregious atrocities. That is the highest level of criminals right there. That is Antichrist. That is Antichrist right there. So yeah, y'all, let me know what y'all think. Like and share this video, please. America must know what the government has been doing. And again, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only, please. Follow me on my other platforms where I go deeper on the esoteric level on these topics.
Okay, so I wanted to play that. So I personally have talked about this targeted individual program. I've even shown charts, how they have the CIA is involved in the targeting. The police are involved, and I have been told that the police have actually gotten paid by Homeland Security. The money comes down for the cops actually get side money to do the targeting against us who are whistleblowers or we find ourselves on this targeted program, and the money comes from Homeland Security. So I've been told this by a whistleblower. So that's another reason why Homeland Security should be under investigation right now. And so I myself have been targeted now for 12 years. Many people have been murdered on this program, and a lot of the veterans that they say committed suicide were actually murdered on this program by like EMPs, weapons, these microwave directed weapons, or by this harassment somehow. Supercomputers, they've used supercomputers, and it can kill you because it can cause a heart attack, or it can cause like a stroke. These and then they were just writing them off as suicides, but they were actually murdered by these EMP weapons. And so there's this all needs to come out at some point, that actually these soldiers, these veterans that they say committed suicide, were actually suicided by this program. And the FBI is part of it. The FBI has been infiltrated and is part of the deep state and many of law enforcement. I would say over 80-90% of law enforcement is involved too. Many of the so I personally have had I've talked about the issues with the law enforcement, and I try not to be disrespectful to the cops that are trying, and try to be good cops, and I try not to be, especially the new ones that are just out there, and I really try, but I have to tell the truth about what is really going on here, what has been happening, so they're aware too. This is the truth, that they have been infiltrated for many years, And so many of them have been infiltrated and paid under the table for multiple things. And I did this video, a couple of videos ago about this guy who lives this issue that I had with somebody, living here where I'm at now. I do have a house in South Dakota that I'm renting out, and then so right now I'm just in a situation where I have a couple people that live here, and normally I get along fine with. It hasn't been a big deal, but recently it's been an issue, and he's friends with the police. He's friends with some of the police, and he started videotaping me. And so I looked up the law in Minnesota, and I said, and it's not legal in the state of Minnesota to record somebody without their consent. And so I made sure and told him that he does not have my consent. And I've told him multiple times, and he has still done it. He's still has done it a couple times, and he doesn't seem to care. He doesn't seem to care anything about the law. And the police won't reinforce the law, and especially because they're friends with him, and apparently they're buddies, so I mean, this is just another example how when they are part of this certain program, they can just get away with harassing you, and they just continually do it, and don't have any consequences, and they haven't, and the courts are involved, and the courts are part of it, because they make sure that you don't, even though you have evidence that you're innocent, they still charge you for things that like I would, when I was getting harassed by the police, I would go into the court, and I would have all the evidence that I was totally innocent. They should have just wrote off the ticket, but they wouldn't. Like this one situation here in Minnesota. This was like 2013. I mean, it was like, I was always getting pulled over for like the stupidest stuff, and one of them was like, okay, I didn't, pull over far enough away from emergency vehicle, that law. But then you could see the footage from the police, and you could clearly see that there was no way I could have pulled over, because there was somebody to the left of me. And so everybody's watching this video in the courtroom, you could clearly see that there was no way that I could have pulled over and give it, like you're supposed to try to, and the judge didn't care. She charged me she charged me anyway. These are dirty judges, so in the situation in New York with President Trump, how they're trying to go after this Judge Egeron. He's got so many different pending cases, but I personally think that President Trump should charge the state of New York in federal court. Should actually do a federal case against the whole state, because I don't know if you saw my video talking about how I drove to Trump Tower, and I was attempting to. This was in December of 2016, and when he had just been. He was president-elect, and he was still at Trump Tower. He wasn't in the White House yet. And I, was attempting to just get him some military documents, So these were federal documents, So, and when I almost didn't make it home, I got arrested by a dirty cop in New York. And they tried to say that I tried going into the parking lot where I had parked, like a block away from Trump Tower, and they tried to say my car wasn't there, even though I had the parking ticket. And they tried to say my car was missing. And then I tried, looking for it, and I was, obviously upset. And then the police came out of nowhere and arrested me. Like, like I'm somehow making a scene just looking for my car. I'm the one who got my car stolen, and they arrested me. And so I personally think that they should be charged with some kind of federal crime, because I was providing the president with federal documents, and so you're interfering. That's like obstruction. You were interfering with, you can't do that. I'm a honorable veteran. I'm an honorable military personnel. You can't, and they were harassing me to try to not to get me to go there. I've been, harassed by the police multiple times, and then, I barely made it there, and then I almost didn't make it back. So I personally think that, the whole state of New York should be in trouble for that. You can't harass a military person just for trying to give the president some paperwork. I mean, but that's what they did. They don't care. So I'm just just bringing some awareness on this type of thing, and so I'm just hoping that we can start to see some things turn around. I'm glad that that these truckers and these different things are, these people are coming together to secure the border, because certainly Homeland Security is not doing it, and certainly this President Biden is not doing it. And so if they're not securing our border, then that's treasonous. We have an immigration crisis going on, and if they're not securing our border, that's treason. So they should be charged. So President Biden should be charged with treason, because he's not securing the border, because this is an act of terrorism, because we are under invasion right now. So this isn't, this is what this isn't, we have no idea what's coming over here. So okay, so anyway, just wanted to touch base. All right, God bless.